Today we're going to work on a very important topic in English: infinitives and gerunds, especially in common phrases and everyday communication. Don't worry if it seems complicated at first. We'll go step by step and use lots of examples so you can understand it clearly. First, let's remember the basics. An infinitive is the to plus verb form, for example, to run, to eat, to study. A gerund is a verb ending in ing that works like a noun, for example, running, eating, studying. Sometimes, when we add ing, we change the spelling slightly, like dance, dancing, or sit, sitting, where we double the consonant. Now, when do we use each form? In general, infinitives are often used for actions that are more abstract, future, or not yet real. For example, I want to travel, or she hopes to find a job. On the other hand, gerunds are often used for actions that are real, general, or already experienced. For example, I enjoy traveling, or he likes cooking. A very important point is that some verbs are followed only by an infinitive. For example, we say, I decided to go, she wants to learn, they agreed to help. It would sound incorrect to say decided going or want learning. These verbs naturally take the infinitive, and you need to learn them as fixed patterns. At the same time, there are verbs that are followed only by a gerund. For example, I enjoy reading, she avoids talking about the problem, they suggested going out. Again, we don't say enjoy to read or avoid to talk. These verbs are always followed by the ing form. Now, here's where things get more interesting. Some verbs can be followed by both forms, but with a change in meaning. For example, with the verb remember. If I say I remember closing the door, it means I have a memory of that action in the past. But if I say I remembered to close the door, it means I didn't forget. I did the action because I remembered it was necessary. Another example is stop. He stopped smoking means he quit the habit, but he stopped to smoke means he paused another activity in order to smoke. So the meaning changes depending on the structure. There are also verbs that can take both infinitive and gerund without a big change in meaning, like begin, start, like, love, or prefer. For example, I like dancing and I like to dance are very similar. At this level, you can usually use both forms with these verbs. We also need to pay attention to some specific structures. For example, when we use verbs like advise, allow, or encourage, we often have two patterns. We can say they advise walking or they advise us to walk. Notice that when we include a person, we use object plus to plus verb. The same happens with allow. They don't allow smoking or they don't allow people to smoke. Another important structure is with the verb recommend. We can say they recommend walking or they recommend that we walk. Notice that after that, we don't use to. Let's also look at some general rules. Gerunds can be subjects of a sentence, like swimming is good for your health. Both gerunds and infinitives can be objects, like I enjoy reading or I decided to read. But after adjectives, we usually use the infinitive. It is important to study English, not important studying English. Infinitives are also very common after expressions with would, like I would like to go, I would love to travel, or I would hate to be late. Gerunds are often used after prepositions. For example, I'm interested in learning English, or after finishing work, I went home. Now, let's connect this with some common phrases you can use in real life. For example, you can say, I made up my mind to study more, or I'm looking forward to seeing you. Notice how to can be part of an infinitive, but also part of a preposition. So in look forward to, we use a gerund, seeing, not to see. You can also say, believe it or not, I enjoy waking up early, or to be honest, I decided to change my job. These expressions are very natural in spoken English. So, as you can see, choosing between gerunds and infinitives is not always easy, but with practice you will start to recognize the patterns. Try to notice these forms when you read or listen to English, and little by little, they will become more natural for you.